Hello, everyone. Welcome to the second episode of The Science Shed. Hopefully you enjoyed the first. It's Steve here with a little bit of a preamble about what the podcast is going to be. So The Science Shed is going to be released every other week on a Sunday, with the exception of this week, when you get one every week. We're doing a double bill to kind of kick it off. So hopefully you enjoy it. If you like it, please subscribe to us on social media. We're on SoundCloud. We're also available on iTunes. We also have Twitter accounts. So I'm Steve the Chemist at Twitter, and Nick is the Evans Lab. So say hello. Tell us what you think. Tell us what you like. Tell us what you don't like. This week the podcast is a ramble between Nick and myself that we recorded about a week ago. We were talking about things like me getting stopped by the police when I first moved to Menlo Park as a postdoctoral researcher at Stanford University. We also speak about using embryonic stem cells to grow human organs in pigs, which is quite exciting. And the most important bit, which is what's annoying Nick, which I think is the only reason anyone really tunes in. So hopefully you liked it and enjoy. All right, bye.
Science Shed! We're in the Science Shed! Science Shed! We're in the Science Shed! Come on, Steve!
Bunsen,
Burner!
Dolly,
Machine!
internal.
Combustion!
Why do we need
Steam!
Petri,
Dishes!
Oscar,
Base!
Isaac,
Newton!
transplanting?
Science!
Hello, welcome. Another podcast. I'm Nick.
And I'm Steve.
Yeah, and welcome to our new science podcast.
Yeah, The Science Shed. And that's what we're going to call it.
When did that get decided?
Well, it was about 10 minutes ago, I think.
Oh, yeah, I'd forgotten already.
Yeah, so The Science Shed, an irreverent ramble through the undergrowth of academia.
Great. I'm looking forwed to that adventure.
So am I.
Yeah. Well, we had some problems naming our podcast, didn't we, Steve?
We did, Nick. So
Because some people...
Some people. You were going to say something else then, weren't
Our
you?
original name. Are we allowed to swear on these?
Yeah, I think so.
I can swear.
Totally.
All right. I'm gonna swear. I'm gonna swear, but I'm gonna swear less so than I do in my everyday life.
Okay.
Is that okay with you?
Oh, so what, about 50% as much swearing?
Anyway, those bastards, right? They stole our name. They stole it from us in the past before we'd even thought about it.
Yeah, so we should just introduce ourselves maybe for all the new listeners.
Oh, well, I already did. I'm Nick.
Oh, and I'm Steve. But no, so we're two scientists. We're two academic scientists, and we're trying to start a new science podcast. And to do that, you have to think up a name, and that involves brainstorming. So we had to brainstorm, didn't we, Nick?
We've been brainstorming for, I reckon,
For about
2 months.
Brainstorming, and we've come up with Science Shed. That's all we've done.
Oh, we had another one before, didn't we? We came up with lots of other ideas of names between us, and neither of us liked each other's names. Like I had Science Detritus, Science Mulch.
Yeah, and I
You
didn't like
had
that. I had Sciencio, which I quite liked.
Sciencio. That
Yeah.
sounds so pretentious.
I know, but I just was trying to make it science related. But we have got that now. We've got the Science Shed.
Yeah.
And then we settled on Slackademia, we should say. So we thought we were really smart, but like,
Yeah, those bastards, they stole our name.
yeah, like most of my good ideas, other people have thought of it already.
Yeah, anyway, but I think our name is good. It's solid. It's something to work from.
The Science Shed. We're in the shed. We're doing science.
We're not really in the shed though, Steve, are we?
No, we're in my flat. Don't tell them. No, we should put like shed noises over the top of this.
We could do that.
Yeah,
because
like saws and...
So I'm learning how to work that piece of software thing
Right.
that we're using. I can't remember what it's called now.
Audacity. Yeah.
That's it, yeah. So we're learning how to use that at the moment, and I'm sure there's ample opportunity to put sound effects over the top.
Well, anyway, we should just welcome everyone. So welcome everyone to the new podcast, and hopefully this will be one of many in the future. We've already recorded a few, so this is actually what for the listeners. What they'll be listening to next is actually in the past for us. They'll hear us in the past.
We've got a bit of a backlog, haven't we, Steve?
Yeah, but that's good. That's a good problem to have.
It's almost like my scientific career. Everything's just blocked up.
Exactly.
It's like I've gone to the toilet and it was too big and I didn't flush the chain quickly enough. And now everything's just stuck in the periphery and I can't get rid of it. And that's kind of like what's happened with our podcast.
Exactly.
Kind of like a big turd that won't flush.
A big turd that won't flush. Maybe that should be the title, the subtitle.
Subtitle, maybe perhaps.
Yeah. Well, that's good.
Let's get on with it, Steve.
Hooray!
So it's nice to be here, Steve, in Cambridge.
We're back.
Cambridge is a weird
Podcast number 3?
3. Yeah,
5.
it could
We
be
can
3.
just cut that. whichever it happens to be.
Yeah, so I'm in Cambridge, ostensibly to do some like proper work, Steve.
Yeah, we're writing a paper, aren't we, Nick?
Been trying to.
Yeah.
How long have we been trying to write one of them?
A while.
So Steve and I, we met in 2009. That's an amazing amount of time that's gone since then. It feels like I met you only yesterday.
In the past.
Darling Steve.
Yeah, I remember when we met.
I do. It was across a. Oh my god! I remember.
Do you
It was
remember
across a room when we were doing some kind of boring induction.
And there was a guy there who was from Manchester.
He was, but he had an American accent.
Exactly. Yeah, he said the T he did with D, so he's saying like a city and
Yeah.
yeah.
But it was weird because you were there, and I think we were the only English people or British people in the room apart from him. And
That's right.
yeah, and you were already at that stage asking him all kinds of sort of obnoxious
Well, of
questions,
course, was I being a dick?
technicalities. You're arguing with him about.
I can't help it, Nick. I can't help it.
Yeah,
it makes me happy inside to my deep core.
Yeah, but
Being a pedant.
But I think that was like that was one of your first days at Stanford, and I'd not been there very long either. And yeah, but this was Stanford University, just to clarify, in California, living the high life. Anyway, so we went to the pub soon after, and that was it.
We went for a sandwich, as I remember.
Oh, we did go for a sandwich, and you told me that your partner at the time was a linguist.
That's right.
I remember. Yeah, and then we had a conversation about that, and then we went to the pub, and I think we got quite wrecked, actually. Didn't you get stopped by the police that night, Steve?
I did get stopped by the police that night.
Tell me again, and tell everyone else why you got stopped.
Okay, well, the thing is, when you move, for anyone that is a UK resident and you move to the US, it's very much a country divided by a common language, and you get there and there's all these kind of funny things going on and strange road signs. And one thing they don't like doing in the States, like they have this concept of jaywalking, right? So this is just not crossing at appropriate places. We don't really have that. I'm from the suburbs of London, where people just kind of walk wherever they're going.
People just generally walk less.
In the US, you mean?
They don't like to walk to get to places. They get in their cars.
Yeah.
It's a cliche, but in most of the US, I think it's true. In some of the main cities, less so, like New York, San Francisco.
Yeah, so for anyone that doesn't know, Stanford University is it's in the Bay Area, which is about 30 miles south of San Francisco.
And it's like Stepford Wives.
Very much so. Yeah,
very kind of. Well, I was going to say conservative, but they're liberal. But they all just act like kind of like middle America. Garden houses, good jobs,
white picket fences.
Everyone is white, apart from
SUV.
the Mexicans who come to clean their houses and do their gardens.
Exactly. So I think we've painted a rich picture of the environment. So
but none of what I've said is untrue.
No, that's true.
Sue me if you like.
So we met and we decided to go to the pub like any two Englishmen should, and we decided to go to there's an English pub in Palo Alto called the Rose and Crown.
Is that where we went?
That's where we went. Yeah.
Oh, I thought we went to another one.
No. We definitely went to the Rose and Crown.
Oh, right. Okay.
And so I lived in the next town along called Menlo Park, which is about, I don't know, probably about a mile. Would you say something like that?
Yeah. So I mean, they're all in that part of the Bay Area. All of the suburbs are arranged on this peninsula of land, and San Francisco's at the top, and then each suburb sequentially is arranged in a long row, and then you've got Palo Alto, and just a bit north of it, you've got Menlo Park.
Yeah. So I was so I decided to walk the 20-minute walk or something. It was a lovely evening, as it is every day in the Bay Area. So I walked from where I lived in Menlo Park to Palo Alto, which involves walking along a main road. And at some point during that main road, the path ran out, or the sidewalk, as our American cousins would say. And I carried on walking because there was just there's just mud by the side of the road, which seems like
dear Steve, I think you made a mistake.
Well, exactly. America is very much a country of rules. I would say there's everyone kind of, everyone wears the right clothes to do the right activity, and everyone has a uniform, and everyone, it seems
100%
lots
true.
Of ticking.
You can't do things in parks which would be normal in England.
Like have a beer.
You couldn't have a can of beer with your picnic. You'd get handcuffed and thrown in a police cell.
Yeah. So anyway, I'm walking on the mud. And the Blues and Twos turn up, and the Palo Alto police pull me over, and they, come and say, "What are you doing, sir?" And obviously, it's like my first couple of days in the States, so I'm, like I didn't know what's going on. It's quite intimidating being in that environment. And so the guys get out with the guns and the big flashing light and the squad car, and they're like, "Where are you going?" And I said, "I'm going over there." And I pointed in the direction where I was walking toward, and they said, "Where have you come from?" And I turned back and looked the other way and said, "I'm from over there."
So you were in between the two places.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
And they very quickly they said, you can't walk along the road, like, because there's a sidewalk on the other side of the street. So I was supposed to cross over.
They were telling you had to cross over.
Yeah.
So they thought you were in contravention of some
They
law.
thought I think they were about to give me a ticket, and then they realised that I just put on my very most humble British accents and said,
I'm
terribly
terribly
sorry.
sorry.
Yeah.
And they were like,
and they
yeah,
bought
so-
it. Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
okay.
and then I went to. So I was, you're quite high on adrenaline when the police stop you, particularly in a new country, and So then I arrived.
So what
to
did
the
you
pub.
go? What
Went
did
to
you
the
go and
pub
do?
and
Then?
drown my sorrows over a beer, chatting to you.
Oh right. Okay, this was on the way to the pub, not the way
Yeah,
back. I
yeah.
thought you were on the way home, drunk, and then you got stopped by the police, and you had to go back. To
No.
do
I just had to cross the street and walk a little bit
right,
further on the
yeah.
wrong side
Well,
of the road.
I'm glad you did what they told you,
Yeah.
because it could have turned out totally different. If you'd got a ticket, you could have been in
Exactly.
police cell. That would have been the end of it. You got
Could have been.
deported.
Yeah, and that,
We wouldn't be sitting here today
But we
talking about the paper
the
that
paper.
we started.
Look at that
writing,
segue. Look at that segue.
that we started writing
You should become a professional journo.
six
Skills like that.
years ago.
Yeah, so we should say. So I think this is a really good opportunity to do a bit of a podcast arc, right, for all the podcasts out there.
I don't know what you're talking about. What's
Well,
this?
so maybe this might become a sequential thing about the paper. So at the moment we're in the planning stage of the paper, and then we're going to, with the writing up of the paper, and then we're going to try and submit it to a journal, and then see what happens, and we can kind of give people reports along the way. What do you think?
Okay, well, yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds reasonable. So we started writing it.
So we should explain how you write. What's the point of a scientific research article? And well, that's what we mean when we say the word paper.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
are you going to do that,
Oh,
Steve?
no, okay. I thought you were
You want
gonna-
me to?
Yeah.
Oh well, we did some experiment. We were in the lab, right? So, and I'm not gonna. I don't think I'm going to introduce exactly what we did. But I'm a biologist and Steve's a chemist. So we're working on, like how certain types of proteins interact with cells. So our body's all made up of cells. A lot of things that we try to use as drugs, we inject into our bloodstreams or we take them as a pill. And you want to find out how that drug interacts with cells. So it does something, and then you get better or something happens. So we were doing those experiments, and basically we put this type of molecule on a cell. And we watched it because you've got a microscope, Steve, haven't you?
Yeah. So
You can watch things happening.
Yeah, so I think Nick and I got talking down the pub, and we prior to this, and we just kind of got interested in what we were both researching, and we tried to kind of come up with an interesting collaboration, and that's quite a lot of how a lot of kind of important scientific discoveries are made sometimes. So we thought
I think we were already talking about Crick and Watson.
already.
We were, yeah.
Right.
We thought we're going to be like Crick and Watson.
Well, I don't think we're going to be that famous.
Well, we thought we might.
Are you going to be James Watson? Are you going to?
No, I'm not definitely Crick.
No, I'm Crick.
No,
Shotgun
I'm
Crick.
I don't want to be Watson. He's not. He's a bit of a. He's a racist.
Yeah,
He is actually a racist.
a proper racist.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we decided to do some experiments together, and what we did is we took some of Nick's proteins that he's looking at, which are responsible for many things in the body, but they've been shown to promote wound healing. Is that right, Nick?
Yeah, we were looking at it for a variety of reasons, lots
Yeah.
of different tissues, but it was more generally interested. It could be applied to like healing wounds or making your bones heal faster, that sort of thing.
Right, and so what we did is we put a little tag on some of those molecules, and we put them on some cells.
Little shiny tag.
A little shiny tag. Yeah,
Nice
it's a-
voice, Steve.
I know. So we put them on a cell, and then we watched them move about,
We did, yeah, and you could see them moving about,
which is very cool.
and that's pretty much all we did.
That's
And then we sat on it for 6.
And then 6 years later,
years.
we're here.
So basically, yeah. In short, we had other things to do. I think that's fair to say.
Life gets in the way.
Life
doesn't
moved
it?
on. We had other things to do, and it kind of went on the back burner. And it was actually a little bit confusing, to be honest. We weren't quite sure how to interpret it. But more recently, some data has come to light from another publication, which kind of makes it a bit more interesting. So for that reason, we think people will be interested in reading it, don't we?
We hope
That's
so,
why
yeah.
you write
Well, also,
papers.
actually going back and kind of going over some of the data, we got good data, and I think you should publish good data.
You were surprised about how good you were in the past.
I was giving myself
how dreadful you are in comparison.
Exactly. I was giving myself a pat on the back to 2009 Steve, who was doing an excellent job in the lab. Unfortunately, 2016 Steve is not so good.
No. So what Steve and I have done this morning is we just sort of sat around looking at figures, so graphs and things like that, and some pictures, and also some of Steve makes lots of videos, always exciting. Some videos, and basically sort of arranged them on a piece of paper.
Yeah.
And thought, well, what does that look like? And then we wrote a bit, and we drew, and then we sort of just stopped, didn't we? We got hungry and went for lunch, and we're going to pick it up again in 2022 is the next meeting.
That's right. Yeah, that's how we do it. Yeah, leapfrogging through time.
No, we're not going to do that. We're going to be on it this time. So, if we'll let you know more about it. As it
Yeah,
goes.
and so I think the idea of so what you do with the paper, and one of the things you try and do is you try and package up all of the experiments you do into a kind of story, and it's a little bit like a storytelling process because you're constantly doing experiments, and every so often you have to kind of write up those discoveries.
Yeah.
And I think this is our go at kind of packaging up some of these experiments into a story. And so the way you do that is we've been working on some figures. You decide what journal to send it to. There's lots of different journals, scientific journals, and they all undergo peer review. And so we're kind of in that. And so depending on what journal you want to send it to, some are for a broad readership and some are for a more technical audience.
And some of them are just places where you send stuff that kind of won't flush down the toilet.
Exactly, yeah. The 6-year turd. That's what.
So I'm joking, of course. We actually think this is very interesting.
It's very good.
But yeah. So we'll see how we get on. Keep tabs on us.
Yeah. So hopefully, but next time we do a podcast, we'll be a little bit further on having the draft of the paper all done, and then we can submit it.
Yeah, definitely.
What's annoying Nick?
Steve, do you know something's been annoying me this week?
Really, Nick? What's been annoying you?
It's to do with Brexit.
Brexit.
By the time people listen to this, maybe it's be done and dusted.
We better get out quick.
We should do, yeah. But I mean, regardless, I'm getting slightly. I feel a bit bad for saying this. I'm getting tired of earnest scientists being overly enthusiastic about remaining in the EU.
So you think science? So there was a big article in the Times. 150 fellows of the Royal Society all signed a document wanting to saying that it would be bad for UK science if we left Europe.
Yeah, and look, I don't want to conflate that with my own feelings on the matter. I mean, I'm very much pro Remain.
But you just hate people's enthusiasm.
Oh, I just don't like it when people, they're all kind of like over the top enthusiastic, being really kind of like belittling of people who maybe want to suggest we should leave, and they take some kind of like huge moral high ground just because they're scientists and they think that this is it's the best thing that ever
they spend
happened.
spend ages looking down a microscope and therefore they're expert politicians.
They've clearly never been involved with the bureaucracy of an EU grant, for instance.
No.
Have you ever been involved with
have,
them?
yeah.
Have you reviewed them?
I have reviewed them, yeah.
Oh my God
It's
almighty.
It's a lot of paperwork.
But anyway, so they go on. Basically, there's one guy I saw on Facebook, and he's doing this like really long YouTube kind of video talking about it, and it's kind of like almost as amateurish as this podcast.
Nothing could be that bad.
And he just goes on and on, and you know what? There's not even a smidgen of like humour or wit or anything like that. It's
just talking
doling
about how
out.
smug. It's the smugness that's annoying you, isn't it? It's the general level of
smug.
scientific smug.
It's really smug, and I found it irritating. That's really been winding me up this week.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, that's it. That's what's been annoying Nick this week.
It's a short one. So, Steve, did you see in the news this week that they're trying to grow organs in pigs?
This week in science, huh?
Yeah.
No, I haven't.
It was on Panorama.
Yeah, I don't have a TV.
You do, I can see it.
It's not plugged into doesn't receive signal.
Why have you got a TV then?
Because I bought a TV.
Why don't you just get a signal?
There's no aerial point in this room.
Really? So
Yeah.
people in this flat can't have telly?
No, because I told you there's a TV room in the college. So the point is you go and chat to other people.
You can't have a telly in your room?
You can, but you just can't have an aerial.
What?
Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah, I know, it's annoying, isn't it?
Oh my God. I
Anyway.
don't know how to keep up with watching Bargain Hunt. I watch it every day. And
Well, you can get the iPlayer, but
yeah, but it's not the same.
you like to watch it.
Yeah, I do. But anyway, so it was on Panorama. It's been in the news. It's been going on for a while.
So explain to me, I don't know anything about this. So
Well, to be honest, Steve, I have to be honest that I
Right.
don't know the ins and outs of it. So I'm not going to be able to inform
but
people.
so they've done this, or are they proposing
No,
to
they're
do
doing
this,
it.
or they're doing it?
They're doing it, and the idea generally is that you have we've got an organ shortage,
We do.
right? And it's really hard to grow replacement organs because you just can't do it. You have to wait for someone to die.
Mm-hmm.
If you need a heart and lung transplant, you need a liver
We
transplant.
do some things, right?
You-
We can do like heart valves and things.
Oh yeah. So I'm talking about whole organ
Right. Okay.
transplants.
Okay.
So there's no well, you can get mechanical hearts, but you can't have one forever.
Yeah.
Lungs certainly not.
Yeah.
Kidney, sometimes you can have a relative because you can do without. You've got two kidneys. Liver,
Mm.
if your liver fails, you need to have a transplant.
Yeah.
Brain. Yeah, you
You
don't.
can't have a
generally-
brain. You can't have a brain transplant.
Maybe one day.
You sound like
will.
Carl Pilkington now.
But anyway, what they were doing was they're trying to, and I think I like the principle. It's a good idea. They want to use the pig as kind of like a giant human
pig.
organ incubator.
Right. So to grow.
Right.
So the pig's got its own heart, but it's growing a human heart as well. Is that the
Yeah.
idea?
So there's been talk in the past. People have talked about, well, maybe we could transplant actual pig organs into people.
Yeah.
And I think it may have even actually been tried
Right.
in really severe circumstances.
Uh-huh.
When the person's going to clearly die anyway. But there are significant problems because it's an organ of a different species.
Indeed.
It's rejected. So what they're proposing to do is kind of like make pigs which are kind of like have humanized organs, right? And the way that they're doing it is by making chimeric pigs. Have you
What's-
heard of a chimera?
I have heard of it, but can you explain it
So
to
a
me?
chimera is a Greek monster, and it's made up of, I can't quite remember, like part goat, part snake, part lion, right? Someone will correct me if we tweet you or something, correct
Yeah.
you. But anyway, it's a mixture of things.
Why do I get shit? Because you fucked up.
Because I don't, you're more tweety than me.
No, that's true. But
I
to be fair,
probably
that's
won't
not
read
very
it.
difficult.
No, everyone's more tweety than me. Oh.
Tweety as well. The fact you call it Tweety.
Yeah. Anyway, so chimera. So you can make a chimera by, you use it in biology. You make them all the time. Biologists do.
So give an example of a chimera that we'd use in biology.
Okay, so you have a mouse. Okay, a white
I don't,
mouse.
But yeah, that'd be good if I did.
I'm,
yeah.
I'm talking hypothetically,
Okay.
Steve.
One
has the mouse.
Okay.
God, what is this? I'm in the royal family now. Isn't it?
All right.
You got a mouse.
I've got a mouse.
So what you can do with a mouse is you can take types of stem cells called embryonic stem cells, and you can take the embryo of a white mouse. So it's a very early embryo, just a couple of days after the sperms fertilise the egg, and you can squirt in stem cells from a brown mouse. When the
Right.
mouse is implanted, that embryo, you can put it back in mummy mouse.
The
And then
womb of the
eventually
pregnant
a
mouse.
small baby will be born, and the mouse that's born will be half composed or partially composed of brown mouse cells from the ones you injected,
Mhm.
and partly composed of white mouse
So
cells
what does
which
that
are from the embryo.
mouse look like? Are they
Yeah.
chopped down the middle, or are they patchy?
Patchy,
Right.
right? And the reason they often do it with brown and versus white is there's something else going on. So you've put something into the brown
Right.
thing that you're interested in,
Right.
like a gene or something.
Yeah.
So you can
Fluorescent marker or something. like
exactly,
that.
yeah. So you end up with a patchy mouse, and it's composed of two different organisms.
Right.
Right. So what they're proposing to kind of do is to take pig embryos, and they're injecting human cells into the pig embryo. Right. So
Ooh.
So they inject them into the embryo.
So this works in mice and kind of those kind of level animals all the time. So there's no technical hurdle to overcome to do this. It's it's an ethical one.
There is because in the mice experiments they're all mouse on mouse.
Right.
We love a bit of mouse on mouse action.
The biologists love.
Oh
mouse
yes. But anyway, so that's fine. But if you're trying to do it in a cross-species way, there are difficulties with it. So this research, I would say, is at an early stage.
Right.
And what they're trying to do specifically is to grow the cells that they're putting in. They want them to turn into human pancreas cells.
Right.
Pancreas is an organ in your body, makes insulin. So if you have type 1 diabetes, these cells die. You make no insulin, therefore you're dependent on insulin for the rest of your life to control your blood sugar. What they're trying to do here is they inject the stem cells in,
which are
human, but they're restricted. They've done some genetic jiggery pokery, so that they only restricted to turning into one tissue type. So the aim is that you have a pig, which is pig-like, apart from cells in its pancreas, which are human.
But it's still in the pancreas of the pig. It doesn't have its own pancreas and then a human pancreas stuck.
No,
inside.
it will, because this is where my knowledge is lacking, and I have to read the papers. But basically, they can switch on and off genes, and they're using a technology called CRISPR, Cas9 technology, which
is fascinating.
Yeah, well, maybe we'll come to that
we
in
should
another
podcast. We should do one on
CRISPR special, because it's quite interesting.
I predict that's going to be a future Nobel
Prize.
But
it's basically, certainly, it's a way to switch on and off genes. So they're using that to switch on and off genes so that they can grow organs in a pig. So ultimately, what you might end up with is a pig farm in which human organs, are being farmed. So, what do you think about that, Steve?
It's quite Machiavellian, isn't it? Just like we're just sneaking into the.
So's bacon. And
You're right. I stand corrected. Right, it's perfectly fine. You're right.
Well, they did actually. So I listened to it on the radio as well, on the Today program. They had a discussion between a scientist dude and a sort of ethical animal dude, and that was the scientist.
So it's the same as bacon.
He just says we have bacon, butty for breakfast. So why not? And the argument from the argument from the animal guy was that we shouldn't be using more. This will lead to the use of more animals. And I'm like, cool, but why don't you be better off trying to persuade people to become vegetarians? I mean, if you could persuade
more people to become donors.
And that was another of his arguments. Totally valid argument, which the scientists supported. But anyway, so.
Wow, that's incredible.
It's pretty interesting.
It's exciting, right? So it might mean that if one of your loved ones is ill, they can have a human kidney or something, but grown in a pig.
Absolutely. I'm not sure what certain religions would make of that. Jews
it does. I don't think that's probably in the Bible about
yeah, but they don't. You can't do stuff with pigs and
that's interesting. So
in Judaism and
because you do it with a monkey.
Probably, yeah. I think you could.
That's weird, isn't it?
Yeah, well, that's religion for you. Let's not talk about religion now. Save it for later. But basically, so that's what they would do. Let me tell you.
So I think my kind of initial response is it does seem a little the kind of the emotional response to that idea does seem a bit dark and a bit sinister, right? But you're right.
Brave
You're right.
New World,
if you just apply those same levels of logic that we harvest animals for food every day, and that's fine, I think you're right.
Yeah, no, totally. So the other fear that
you had me at so's bacon. those
simple
letters.
The other fear that people have got is people are saying, what if the cells go in the brain?
The pig cells.
What if the human cells
go in the pig brain?
Make the pig brain.
Well, that's not how biology works, right?
You'd have a pig.
You'd have a human stuck in a pig's body.
Well, yeah, he might not be able to speak. Be like locked-in syndrome.
Forever.
Locked in a
and you'd
pig.
never be able to.
I've got locked-in syndrome in a pig. All I can do is snuffle around in the dirt.
No, 'cause you could still, do you think you can still control your pig hands? And
well, I don't know. I mean, to me, this is a ridiculous
yeah.
argument. But, if you've got humanized pancreas, I mean, you could technically maybe have some kind of humanized brain. So you could have, because humans...
Super pig.
Yeah, imagine that.
Oh,
this might be
God.
Steve, this might be what happened with the dinosaurs.
This is like the start
This
of a
is like
zombie apocalypse.
Yeah,
isn't
it'd be like in Animal Farm
But all
because
the-
the pigs took
Yeah,
over
exactly.
there.
Oh, isn't that exciting? how prophetic was that?
Yeah, so
Super Pig.
but yeah, so it's
To be
very
honest, Nick,
exciting.
I don't think we can't top Super Pig as a podcast. I think that's a good place to stop.
Okay, Steve. Yeah.
All right.
Great. Well, Steve, thanks for joining me here in your house
You're welcome.
Which
Thanks for being here.
you live in.
Well, thank you for coming to the Science Shed.
Oh, that's quite all right. Should we go and there's a bit of shelving that I was hoping to sand down. It doesn't quite fit flush on the wall.
Yeah,
Will you
we-
help me with that?
Yeah, we can use my router.
You got a router?
Of course, everyone's got a router.
Okay, let's go and do that, Steve.
All right, bye.
Bye.
Science Shed! We're in the Science Shed! Science Shed! We're in the Science Shed! Come on, Steve!
Bunsen.
Burner!
Dolly.
Machine!
Internal.
Combustion!
Why do we need
Steam!
Petri?
Dishes!
Austin.
Base!
Isaac.
Newton!
Transplanting.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for listening to the Science Shed. This is just a final thing to say that actually, if you go onto my Twitter feed, which is at Steve the Chemist, we're going to upload a video of some of the experiments that Nick and I were talking about in terms of looking at the little shiny tags, the little molecules moving around on a cell. So we're going to show you a video, a fluorescence video of individual protein molecules diffusing on an insect cell surface, which is actually part of the experiment we're going to submit as part of our paper. So hopefully you like it. Hopefully you think it's as beautiful as I do. Let us know what you think. Great. Thanks. See you next week. Bye.